What is worth living for?
Yes.
Oh. What happened to questions about Dean?
Sorry.
No, look, that's a very it's a very easy question to answer, and it's also a very difficult question to answer. In my opinion, I think that there is that life itself is worth living for. And I think that if you're not living the life that you want, then you fight to achieve that life. And when you are allowing yourself to open up like that, like we just talked about, it's amazing what can come in, and stuff that you maybe don't even expect. And I think that there's no one thing that you should be living for. I think it's the journey that is life that you should be living for. Hi there.
I have a question about Dean.
I'm ready.
I don't know who's watched the latest episode, so I don't want to spoil it, but there's a particular scene.
Spoiler alert. She's covering her ears.
The fight scene between Dean and Cass, and the way it was filmed. My question is, it seemed to mirror like a reverse of the crypt scene, or what they call the crypt scene in season 9. Was that on the page? Was that the director's interpretation? Was that something you and Misha worked out?
No.
Are we seeing things?
You maybe seeing things. I think it was a happy accident. I think that the way that we choreographed that particular fight scene just kind of lent itself to feel like that same that previous fight. Although that really wasn't more of a fight. That was just kind of Cass pummeling Dean. Yeah. But I think there was a similar aspect, and that'd be an interesting question again for Bob if that was talked about in the writing room, because it wasn't written on the page, and it certainly wasn't conveyed to us that that's what they were going for. But it may have been the inspiration that was needed to write that scene. That being said, that was, it was a very emotionally similar scene, but I would say that, the choreography was obviously a little different, and there wasn't the, on the knees, pleading him to stop and that kind of thing, although he was pretty beaten up and asking me to stop. But did you all think that at that shot, was there a collective,
Didn't you hear it?
I might have. Yeah. I remember we were shooting it, Misha and I were like, oh, they are not gonna like this. They're gonna be so mad at me. But that was a really, I really liked that fight scene for some reason, just because it was really raw. In fact, there was at one point when Dean was kind of slamming his face into the table. He was all the way up on the table, and one of the takes we used stunt doubles, except Todd, my stunt double, he was like, dude, you can do this. It's really just Misha's stunt double that's getting the... And I'm like, I'll do it. So took Misha's stunt double, who was a different guy that day, and I'm blanking on his name, so forgive me. But he went in, and so I, threw him against the table and started slamming his face, and he was all the way up onto the table, like his whole body, like up to his thighs, were up on the table. And when I pulled him off, I literally grabbed the back of his belt and yanked him completely in the air, and he went wham and hit the ground. And I was like, wow. But to literally just throw a man to the ground with full force is not something that many people get to do often, and I rather enjoyed it. And of course he popped up and he was like, I'm good. These stunt guys are crazy. But yeah, that's a really good observation, and we'll have to ask Bob about that, if that particular fight scene was inspired by the crypt scene, as you call it.
We've kind of missed Dean and Cass being in the same room together this season, but that was probably a little more violent than what we wanted, but thank you anyway.
Hey, yeah, you asked for it. You wanted some more, Cass and Dean stuff, so there you go. Hi there.
I'm worried about Sam right now, and I want to ask you, if you as Jensen could talk to Sam right now, what would you say to him?
If Jensen could talk to the character of Sam? I'd probably say, tread more lightly, but don't give up on your brother. Hi.
Hi. Because I love horses, I was wondering if you're still doing horseback riding, and if not, when was the last time you did?
Honestly, I think the last time I was on a horse was when we shot Frontierland. And if you watched the show, the episode, I was never on a horse, but they had horses there. I think Jared got to ride the horse. Of course, I think he did it backwards. But during lunch that day of filming, I asked. During lunch that day, during the day of filming, I asked the horse wrangler if I could take the horse out on a ride, and so he let me. I think that was the last time. So no, I don't get to ride as much as I would like to. But yeah, one of these days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi, Jensen. So
Hi.
my question is, so over the few seasons, we saw a lot of forms of Dean also, but my ultimate favorite is Future Dean, because he was so great and amazing, because he was Dean, but not kind of, but evil. So I just want to ask, what was it like for you to shoot that episode? And was it challenging, and how did you shoot it? Did you first shoot the 09 scenes and then the 2015 scenes, or all together? Or so how was that?
Oh, I see. Yeah, that was very challenging, and that was one of the more challenging episodes I've done, simply because I was playing a version of Dean that was present and a version of Dean that was a hypothetical 5-year in the future glimpse. So they were going to be very similar, but also there was an obvious difference. And I agree. I liked that version that they let me play on that one. And as far as who did we shoot first, it kind of really depended on the cameras. Sometimes we have to shoot facing a certain direction due to light, and if we're shooting out of a window, or if we're shooting inside looking out towards a window, then we need to shoot the windows first before the sun goes down, because we can always turn around and shoot backwards and emulate the sun and fake it even though the sun's down. So sometimes we had to shoot present Dean and shoot future Dean last, or vice versa. That being said, they were both very difficult. Didn't matter which one we started with, and I felt the most bad for Todd, who is my stunt double. I asked that he would play whichever one I wasn't playing at the time. And I'll never forget, after doing like one big scene with him, it was a scene where we have a conversation for the first time over the table and pass a drink to each other. And I remember Todd saying, "Can you just throw me through a window, or can I get just hit by a car? I don't want to say the dialogue anymore." The poor guy, I don't think he's ever recovered from that. Which is funny because this is a guy who just recently fell higher than the ceiling and fell straight down and missed the pad and shattered his collarbone, and also was knocked out for 3 minutes, which is a really, really, really long time. And he spent a while in the hospital, and he was out for about 4 or 5 months. And he's like, "Oh, I'd rather do that again than that scene that we did in season 4." Yeah, so that was a fun episode, but for me, not for him.
Thank you, I love you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Jensen. It's
Hi.
my first call, so I'm a little bit overwhelmed.
Welcome.
Thank you. Considering that I'm seeing a guitar on stage, do you mind playing or singing something for us?
I'm sorry, what? Oh, that's not for me.
I think it is.
No, that's...
You're a really good singer.
Yeah, no, it says "not for Jensen" on the back. What is this doing here? Whose is this? Whose is this?
Yours!
Oh, it's not mine. Obviously, it's not mine. Do I have enough cord to... I'm not going to put on a concert. That's not why you guys are here.
Yes.
But maybe I'll just... See what you've done? There, maybe I'll just hold it.
They're faking me.